Look on your social media feeds. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Krypton's Legacy, a Superman podcast, covering all of Clark Kent's greatest adventures in comics, film, and animation, with your hosts, Adam and Nick.
Welcome to another episode of Krypton's Legacy, a Superman podcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam, and with me is my co-host, Nick. Nick, how's it going?
Adam, I wish I could say that not only am I doing great, but especially today, I'm doing rather super. How are you?
I echo those sentiments.
Mm-hmm.
This was, a little bit behind the scenes sort of business. This was not a scheduled recording, but as Nick and I, predicted off air, the last couple of times we record, before our next scheduled recording later in March, there's going to be some news that drops about Superman, because it's going to be filming in March, and lo and behold, Nick and I were bang on in that assessment. So here we are with a special episode of Krypton's Legacy. Speaking of the term legacy, that this podcast and the title of the film shared, that name or that title is no longer shared, and Nick and I aren't changing the name of our podcast.
No.
So that should tell you that the first bit of business that Nick and I are discussing is that when announcing the start of principal photography for the film, James Gunn revealed that the name of the film, when he finished the first draft of the script, was Superman Legacy, which we knew. But ever since he locked the final script of the film, the title for the film is now just Superman. So I think that's the first bit of business we should talk about, Nick. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, so outside of the logo reveal, the name change of the movie now just being called Superman was actually my favorite bit of news that came out on Superman's birthday, because granted, we've never had a movie called just Superman. We've had Superman the movie. We've never had just Superman. And I think what the name really does all in and of itself is it's simple, it's definitive. It gets the point. It gets the point across right away. It can kind of be really, really good for a GA that's coming into the fold. That's Superman right there. So I like it in and of that. And I'm just like, I get chills thinking of like the type of things that you can do with the marketing, with just having the name Superman. I know when James Gunn revealed the date in that classic red and yellow streamline iconography over there, I'm imagining just Superman like in that kind of font style, on a poster. I get chills as like a Superman fanboy, thinking like that, and like not that like Legacy couldn't have worked, because I did like that title. But it did kind of feel like more like a sequel or like an ending trilogy kind of a title. So at least this one, you're kind of establishing that this is Superman, like right off the bat. Like no duping the audience. We don't have to kind of think in the back of our head, oh, what is the legacy part of the title mean? So I love that it's just Superman. You know what it is right now, and there's no tricks to be had. So I personally really, really love this. How about you?
Yeah. I'm in agreement, and again, let me preface the fact that I like the Superman Legacy title, but Superman is just a lot more straightforward. It's to the point. It tells you exactly what this is. There's no questioning. There's no, we're not using any alternate names. Last Son of Krypton, Man of Steel, Man of Tomorrow, etc., etc. It's just Superman. And while I like the Superman Legacy title, the word legacy denotes, a prior history. So the question, some fans wouldn't care enough to ask the question, but some would ask, legacy of what? Is it the legacy of the last iteration of Superman? Clearly not, because we've changed actors. Is it the legacy of Christopher Reeve Superman? And again, it's the reason why people would ask that question is because we are now changing mediums from the comic book arena to the film space. So it's natural for people when they hear the term Superman legacy to look back and say, well, legacy to which film? That question could potentially come up. So maybe maybe that's part of the reason why James Gunn felt that it needed to be changed. And again, if Superman Legacy was the title of a comic book anniversary one shot, it'd make a whole lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
When Superman hits 90 years old, if DC wants to put out an 80-page giant issue titled Superman Legacy, go for it. I'm all for it. It makes sense. So I do like the title for those the change in title for those reasons. And again, the film in '78 was marketed and sold as Superman the movie. So that's it. We really technically haven't had a movie just titled Superman before.
Mm-hmm.
Because then the subsequent sequels had Superman 2, 3, and 4. So there's a number behind it. Even the TV iterations. We've had The Adventures of Superman,
Mm-hmm.
Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. We've had Superboy. We've had Smallville. We've had Superman and Lois. But never just Superman. So this feels like we're entering a new space for the character, which is fitting of what the film is trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it works on several levels. And with Superman officially filming, most of the roles are obviously filled out, but there are some that still need announcing, so to speak. And one of them was announced not long ago, days ago as of this recording, actually. And that is the role of Perry White. So Nick, who do we have in the role of the Daily Planet editor-in-chief?
Yeah, so our new Perry White is Wendell Pierce, who I believe this gentleman was most notably. I've seen him in The Wire. I know he was in Jack Ryan. He might have been in Suits. So he's kind of a renowned actor, obviously in the television space, and he was a very respected actor. He's kind of been through the ropes for quite a while now. So he's James Gunn. Obviously, like we know, he can trust him, and I'm sure he definitely has the look to be an editor in chief of a Daily Planet, nonetheless. But yeah, so our Perry White has been cast, and Adam, lo and behold, we have our Clark Kent, we have our Lois Lane, we have our Jimmy Olsen, we have our Perry White, and I would be damned if I would not be shocked if there's a Cat Grant to be cast in the near distant future.
Probably, and first of all, let me talk about Wendell.
Yeah.
Wendell Pierce for a second. I know him more from Jack Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard nothing but good things about The Wire and Suits, but I know him from Jack Ryan. I thought he was excellent in that, especially the back and forth and the banter that he had with Jack Ryan. You can kind of see a similar mentor-mentee kind of scenario playing out for Clark and Perry in this movie. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think he has the talent to pull this role off. So I like this casting quite a bit. And he recently presented an award to Jeffrey Wright. So it was nice to have a picture with at least a very multiversal kind of Perry and Jim Gordon together, because obviously the DCU Jim Gordon will not be Jeffrey Wright. But for now, we got a version of Perry and Jim Gordon together at an event that was pretty cool to see. But so I like the casting quite a bit, and the casting of Wendell Pierce really kind of sort of got me thinking about the cast overall in Superman Legacy. And I'm going to make a comparison. This cast, or the Superman cast, not Superman Legacy anymore. That's going to take a while to deprogram out of my brain. But this cast for Superman reminds me a lot of the cast for the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man. And I'll tell you why. Because that cast was filled with, in the leads, relatively, our two leads, relatively unknown names to the wider general audience. And then they were surrounded by a bunch of character actors. There was no. If you look back at the Spider-Man cast when that was being filmed, there were no megastars. There were no big box office draws in terms of name actors. They were all character actors. Like Willem Dafoe was the biggest name, and sure, he's been he was in Apocalypse Now. What was it? Apocalypse Now, I think it was. Was he in that? Yeah. So he was in something that was well known, but he himself wasn't. It's not like you go to a movie to watch Willem Dafoe. Like, he doesn't sell movie tickets. There are few and far between that do that nowadays. But my point is, the Spider-Man movie didn't have any of those. It was two relative unknowns in Maguire and Dunst, and then it was filled with a bunch of character actors.
That's a good point.
And that's what I see with this Superman cast. I mean, the two most well-known are Nicholas Hoult and Rachel Brosnahan, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And again, they're not names that you go to watch a movie purely based on their star power, right? So that's something I noticed, that it had that in common, at least to me, with the original Spider-Man cast. And based on the results of that movie, if we can echo that kind of quality with Superman, I think we'd be in good shape. So what are your thoughts on that comparison that I made? What do you think about that?
No, I think that's actually a pretty spot on comparison. You can definitely see similarities to the way that this whole thing is being structured as kind of like a revamp, a reintroduction to the big screen of this character, might I add, kind of like how Spider-Man was at the time, it's meant to be this relaunch, this reintroduction to the big screen with the whole brand new cast of, it was the, make stars, don't cast them, right? Yeah. It was kind of like that sort of mantra at the time. But dude, I'll even raise you one. I'm really, really loving what this cast is doing right now. I mean, even like on social media, I mean that awesome TikTok that Rachel Brosnahan put, listening to the John Williams score with none other than Lex and Clark in the background sitting next to them.
Yeah, I got
I mean, like, geez, in like that group photo that the cast took, like right as they were getting ready to start filming. I mean, these are all things that, like, as a general audience, like, member, you can pick up on that. This is a really fun cast. They're energetic, they're enthusiastic, they're excited for this. And James Gunn rarely ever casts a bad ensemble. So James Gunn knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
With these people, and I think especially for people like us and for people that are just looking for a Superman movie to hit and resonate, it's cool to see a cast kind of just like have fun and kind of show that they're having fun. Like we'll talk about something a little later with a gentleman who's been on a certain podcast that is of Superman significance. Again, like, just really cool to kind of be out there and to just show how excited you are. So yeah, I'm really digging what we're seeing.
And I don't even think, like, there's probably a couple of roles still to be cast, the Kents.
Mm-hmm.
Namely Jor-El, I don't even think you need a big star to fill any of those roles. I'll tell you why. Because it seems to me within the movie-going space, there's only one person that can sell tickets based off their name alone, and that's Tom Cruise at this stage. It's clearly not Dwayne Johnson because we saw that with Black Adam. DC tried that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think you need to fill out any of those remaining three. There could be more,
Mm-hmm.
but those three roles, I don't think you need big name A-listers. Personally, I just
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I just don't think you need it. I think
Mm-hmm.
if you market this correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and if the end result being the movie is of quality,
Mm-hmm.
those factors should be able to sell. So the reintroduction of Superman
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Gunn's been on record too
should sell
saying
you
that.
enough
Yeah.
tickets. You know.
Yeah, and I think Gunn has kind of said too that I wouldn't expect like a Joel in like his 50s and 60s because he's not really looking for
Yeah.
that kind of aesthetic. So if you're looking for another like Russell Crowe-esque
Yeah.
type of Joel, that's probably not in the cards. I think we're
Right.
gonna get somebody that might have a little gray to them, but kind of still looks like they're a spring chicken. Might I add?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. But speaking of the cast, recently our new Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult, is the current guest on the most recent podcast episode of Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Of course, Michael Rosenbaum was a Superman alumni in the sense that he played Lex Luthor on the long-running series Smallville. So the two Lexes sat down and had a conversation. And what was interesting was that Nicholas Hoult recounted to Michael Rosenbaum that the first exposure to the Superman mythology that he had was through Smallville, because Smallville was just on the air, like just started on the air when Nicholas Hoult was around 11 years old, which tells you how long that show,
Yeah.
how long that show
It's
ran for, and
it's
how
showing
long.
us on a long time.
Yeah. And so, and that not only was that the first exposure to the Superman mythology, but that Michael Rosenbaum was his Lex Luthor, so to speak. I think that's kind of cool because I've long stated that until somebody comes along and does a better job, Michael Rosenbaum, to me, is the best iteration of Lex Luthor in live action. So it's cool that is in the back of Nicholas Holt's mind.
Mm-hmm.
That was his first ever experience with Lex Luthor, and it's not, and that's not to say that Nicholas Hoult is going to do a copy of what Rosenbaum did, but having that as your in the back of your head as your sort of what you remember of the character the most. If that's your base, if that's what your sort of your starting point, that's pretty cool. That you're off to a good start, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And he also talked about that in the audition process, James Gunn kept things very light and fun and allowed the actors to try things. And he also just commented on just the quality of the script and how he just trusts what James Gunn's written on the page. Now, of course, no actor that's going into a project saying he's gonna go on a podcast and say, "Yeah, that script was horrendous. That script's horrendous. Like, I'm not looking forward to making this thing." But I mean, it's not like he was prodded to say, "Hey, tell me about James Gunn's script." if the script wasn't good, he just wouldn't bring up the script. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nobody correct if I'm wrong. I don't remember because actually the only things I remember about the Madam Web press conference were Sydney Sweeney and Isabella Merced, and I just forgot what people were saying. But correct if I'm wrong. I don't think anybody on that press junket ever praised the script once.
Don't think so.
Right. So the case in point.
Yeah.
So all that just filled me with more confidence, and more excitement. So what do you think of Nicholas Hoult being a fan of Smallville and in particular Rosenbaum as Lex?
Well, it makes me a fan of Nicholas Hoult now, doesn't it? I mean, everybody knows that Smallville's my favorite DC running television show of all time. It's one of my favorite DC mediums. Give or take. Yes, we'll discuss other aspects
Yeah.
of Smallville down the line because it's not a perfect show by any means, but
No show
it did a lot more right than it did wrong.
I agree.
Yeah, but so I think it's pretty freaking cool to kind of see him kind of shooting the stuff here with another former Lex Luthor on his podcast, and that's a fantastic podcast. Not to give Rosenbaum a selfless plug here, but that really is a really good deep dive, off the cuff kind of show. That if you're on the fence, please give it a listen. It's really a thoughtful kind of just two guys kind of chit chatting it up, kind of in a room together. So it's a great listen. It's a great show. But yeah, I mean, I love that Holt acknowledged that there was a long-standing for the longest time, and Rosenbaum killed it for so long, and it shows that Holt's doing the homework, right? He's doing the work. He's acknowledging what's came before, and he's going to try to put his own spin on things. And again, I think it's cool that yet again James Gunn was on Rosenbaum's show, saying that Rosenbaum was his favorite Lex Luthor, and now here's Nicholas Hoult, who's playing the new Lex Luthor, saying that you're the benchmark, like you are who I strive to hopefully live up to. So I think that's pretty cool to do that.
Yeah, and I think I'm not saying that James Gunn will write Lex Luthor to mimic Smallville's iteration, but just based off of what I heard from both Holt and Gunn is that I get the sense that the Lex we see in Superman will have more in common with Michael Rosenbaum's Lex than it will have with Gene Hackman or, thank goodness, Jesse Eisenberg's. I don't think anybody in their right mind wants to see another version of that again. So, again, it's just, put it this way. In terms of live action Lex Luthor on film, I understand Gene Hackman is a great actor. I understand what they were going for with that iteration of Lex Luthor, right? The businessman, not the businessman, the conniver, the shyster, he was obsessed with land and all that nonsense. I get that was probably the Lex of the time in the comics or whatever, but in terms of live action Lex Luthor, this is just purely on film, like film iterations, like big screen iterations. There is nowhere to go but up. It can't get any worse than what we just had. So there's nowhere to go but up. So, and I think Holt is a strong enough actor that he's gonna the potential for him to do well with the role, provided the material is good, because. I don't care how good any actor is, if the material's not there, they can't make a diamond out of crap, right? So, provided the material is afforded to him, that it's solid, I think he can definitely deliver, and I look forward to that. But yeah, that was a nice couple of quotes to hear in regards to the two of them. Talking about Lex Luthor, and they basically both of them pledged to having a second episode together once Superman is out, where they can freely talk about Lex Luthor and
that's gonna be fun.
Kind of share experiences and compare and contrast and all that stuff. So that's going to be fun to eventually see down the road. But let's get into the main event, I guess, in terms of the reveals from last week as of this recording, which was the Superman insignia that James Gunn released a photo of, which he notes was from his iPhone.
Yeah.
What I wouldn't give to hack his phone just to see those pictures, just to see what he has in terms of Superman related media.
Yeah.
It's clear that the picture that was released, it seems to me that that's a picture of the S shield on the suit.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a close-up shot, right? So you can only see part of it. But what I gather, and what a lot of people online have gathered as well, is that this S shield is sort of, in its design and in its construction, first and foremost, is inspired by Alex Ross, specifically the Kingdom Come logo. But it is an amalgamation of, at least to my eye, 3 different Superman S shields. That is the Kingdom Come shield, the standard Superman shield. In terms of shape and design, it's the Kingdom Come. In terms of color scheme, it's the traditional red and yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a border, a yellow border on the outside of the triangle, that the shape that houses the S logo. That is very similar to the Fleischer cartoons.
Yeah.
And I like that. In terms of, yes, we took the name Legacy off of the title, but we in a sort of amalgamation of 3 different S shields, James Gunn is sort of honoring and paying homage to the legacy of Superman over the years. So, what's your take on what we've seen of the shield so far?
I love this logo. I gotta just be right off. I mean, not because it's just cool to finally see what it looks like after speculating for so long what it was gonna look like. But I love that it looks fresh, it's sleek, it looks unique, like you said. It kind of feels like a love letter to what's came before, but it kind of sets itself to set a new path for what's to come. To establish something new and fresh and creative and innovative. For a new Superman on screen. It does kind of have. I love the Alex Ross influence personally, just because I feel like it was only a matter of time before somebody eventually tried to crack that sort of iteration of a costume on the big screen. And again, it feels James Gunn, master teaser. It kind of it played in line to what he was teasing all along, right? With all the Alex Ross art that he was posting on.
Yeah.
Social media, the Kingdom Come references, everything all kind of adds up. It's like what Matt Reeves was doing with the Batman, when he was doing all those Batman 6060s as well. If you look close enough, it was actually verbatim what we got in the movie. So, again,
and now that you mention that, look at that costume.
Yeah.
The cowl is a modernized version, essentially, a modernized version of the 66 cowl. In a manner of speaking.
The Batmobile is similar, there's just we had Catwoman and Penguin in the movie,
the villains were all from
Riddler,
66, the Joker,
and then Joker was teased at the end. So again, it's right. It's like, you look close enough, eventually you'll find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think this one was really, really cool. And I love that James Gunn did this on Superman's birthday. It felt so fitting, it felt so proper to at least give us a glimpse of what's to come. It looks like that was the Fortress of Solitude is what I gathered, and
well, because there's snow on the suit, right? So
right, but yeah, you can kind of
the
infer
conclusion
that
you make in your mind is that, well, he's at the fortress,
He's at
or
the
he's just
fortress.
rolling around in the snow for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why he'd be doing that, but you know,
Throw the suit
listen,
on a piece of snow.
listen. In Man of Steel, or no, wait a minute. In BVS, wasn't it Lois and Clark had sex in the tub?
Yeah.
Maybe in this one they have sex in the snow. I don't know, but I
Ah.
venture to say it's probably he's at the fortress. Just
Yeah.
my guess.
Yeah, just a guess. But yeah, no, I think the Kingdom Come inspiration I think is also interesting in of itself, because I feel like what we're gathering, and this is not to reveal plot leaks or anything like that, because I don't have the script
And
in
nobody
front of
tells
me.
us anything.
I wish I did. I wish we both
Yeah.
did. I think it's gonna be the reverse of Kingdom Come. So I think this is gonna be a Superman that's very hopeful, that's inspiring, and I think the heroes around him are gonna be a little bit more on the darker side,
Yeah.
and Superman's gonna kind of show them the way.
Right.
And then what's cool and what's fascinating, again, let's all put our praying hands up here, is eventually that Superman is going to get to that Kingdom Come point. So he'll have that Kingdom Come suit, the classic from the actual Kingdom Come novel, in the black,
It
in the
wouldn't.
blue with the black and the red.
It wouldn't shock me.
But that'll be the build up.
It wouldn't shock me if the end game type of movie, and
Mhm.
I know people get mad when we use Marvel comparisons, but get over it. The end game kind of movie would be DC's Kingdom Come.
Yes. That's what it
Um,
feels like.
yeah. And by the way, if every DCU costume for the main heroes, the Justice League heroes, is inspired by Alex Ross's design, sign me the hell up. Like, can you imagine what Batman's going to look like? Because I've seen two versions of Batman I've seen multiple versions of Batman from Alex Ross, but I've seen two modern versions of let me rephrase, two standard, typical versions of Batman's costume from Alex Ross. One has the black bat, one has the yellow oval, and is blue. If we get either of those looking in the style of Alex Ross,
Yeah.
I'm going to be happy. I'm going to
Yeah.
be very happy.
I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah.
Can you imagine the Alex Ross cowl on Batman? We've never seen that.
Oh. Yeah.
That cowl on Batman, we've never seen that.
Yeah. That logo would also be kind of cool to see too. Like the bat insignia is not too big, it's not too small. It kind of fits
It's
the.
not the Thanksgiving post Thanksgiving turkey that Affleck had, and it's not the camouflage, disappearing thing that whatever Bale was doing in the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. You can barely see it. But yeah. So again, either one, I don't care which one we get, the yellow oval or the black bat. If it's Alex Ross inspired,
The good
sign me
prediction,
up.
though.
But yeah, I mean, if and you gotta imagine that James Gunn will have a say in a certain element of the aesthetic for the rest of the world, right?
I would think so.
So
Yeah.
also, I mean, if Alex Ross is the Alex Ross could be the blueprint here. Nick, and yes, I had to use that phrase. But yeah, no, I'm another reason why I agree. I'm on board with the reverse Kingdom Come sort of personality trajectory for Superman. But here's another reason why I like this logo. And again, I love the traditional, the standard Superman logo. I'm not knocking it with what I'm about to say. Like, I love it. Like, I have it. It's all over my den in different places in this room. So I love the thing. But one of the reasons why I like this Kingdom Come-esque design is because it looks like a mix of something that's alien and something that's recognizably an S, but it's not one or the other. Because to me, and in movies nowadays, people can't just suspend disbelief with certain things. They need an explanation, right? So when you have that traditional S logo that looks like you went on, you opened up a Word document, you just you typed in a capital S and then put a triangle over it, and then fed it into a 3D printer and slapped it on Superman's chest. When you do that, and then in a movie you say, you have Lois say, and again, I'm not just knocking this movie for the sake of knocking the movie. This is just an example. When your explanation is, it's not an S, it means hope, but it looks identical to a human S. That explanation doesn't fly for me, because that was also supposed to be the symbol of the House of El, right? In Man of Steel and in and even in Superman the movie, right? That was the explanation. Here's my issue with that explanation. Every other person on Krypton is wearing a glyph that looks alien. So why does this look like a Microsoft Word iteration of an S? I don't understand. Like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's just, wow, look how convenient that is. Like, if you're going to use the standard S, the only explanation that I can, if you're good, either you suspend disbelief and just be like, well, he's got an S on his chest and he's called Superman, deal with it. That's one way to go with it. That's the preferred way. But now filmmakers have to explain everything, right? You know, so the tread in his boots, the cuff on his whatever. So if we've got to explain the S, and it's the traditional S, the only explanation I'll accept is that his mother made him a suit and fashioned this S logo for two reasons. One, because she always considered him to be, special and her special boy, so that's why she came up with the idea of an S. The other idea would be that she came up with the S so that when he's wearing it and he looks down, despite using all his Kryptonian powers and the alien side of him, he'd look down, see the S, remember Smallville, and it would keep him grounded to remember where he came from.
And Sun.
Yeah. That's the only rationale that makes sense. You can't tell me that's an alien symbol, but it looks like an S. It looks like a human S. I'm sorry. Now, listen. If every other Kryptonian is wearing a different letter of the English alphabet, sure, maybe I'll buy it. Like one house is wearing an A, the next house is wearing a B, the next is wearing a C, the next is wearing a D, and so on all the way till we get to Z. If that's the way we're going, then maybe I'll accept it. But if he's the only one with an English letter on his chest, and everybody else on Krypton is wearing some unique glyph, I don't buy that explanation. So, but the Kingdom Come S allows it to look alien enough that this could be the symbol of our house. Mm-hmm. But when he gets to Earth, it looks enough like somebody looking at it could say, well, that's an S. And then Lois sees that and says, what am I supposed to name this guy? Oh, Superman.
Yeah.
It's unique enough that from a certain vantage point, it could be seen like an S, but it doesn't look exactly like an S. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's why I like it.
Yeah, no, I think I'm hoping like Gunn's just smart enough to just have the suit just be what it is. Like, I don't really think we need any sort of explanation on like why it's that specific insignia. I think that the symbol can just be what it is. And I think the only explanation we need is if why the color scheme of it changes. Which again, if we're building up to Kingdom Come, that's where your explanation would come. So I don't think you need to explain it like in your movie.
No, but do you think do you think it'll be the house, the symbol of the House of El? Is that the road you think they're going to go with that?
Yeah, I would say just because for synergy purposes, that's maybe what I would do. Just because that's a very specific logo to start off with anyway. So if you're gonna do
that's the most logical explanation of what that is. And even I got to give Smallville credit again, at least for the first 4 or 5 seasons. when they showed the Kryptonian symbol, it was the Kryptonian. It wasn't. If you translate that, it was an S.
Yeah.
But the Kryptonian glyph was like it wasn't an S. It was more like an 8 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they used like it was burnt into his chest. It was the the thing that Jor-El left in the caves for him. You know the talisman. So they played into the fact that it's Kryptonian, and then
Right.
and then in later seasons they had to line it up with Donner. So
Yeah.
when he sees Jor-El in the fortress, Jor-El's wearing it, freaking it. But even like I think when Lois, when there was an episode where Lois left him a present, and it was the suit.
Mm-hmm.
Remember?
Yeah.
And I think she on the card it said found this in your mom's things. So I think in that iteration, without saying it, I think it's something that Martha made for him, as opposed to it was set. I mean, could be from the blankets or whatever, but it was something that his mother made for him.
Right.
So, and you could have that same thing here, where maybe the glyph was sent as part of a, hey, this is your family crest, and then she uses the blankets or whatever he came with, because the stitching does look more natural, like naturalistic, more human.
Mm-hmm.
Then like you could see, if you like the close in on that suit, you could see like the stitch marks, right? Now that could just be the craftsmanship of the people that made it, or they could work it into the story that his mother made him that with the blankets that arrived in the ship, right? Not that we're going to spend.
My mom made it for me.
Right.
I know.
Yeah. So yes, I'm going deep into stitching here, folks. This is what we do when we get suit reveal or partial suit reveals.
We warned you all.
Yeah, we warned you this was going to happen. So yeah, I think an S shield that isn't so stereotypically an S makes a lot of sense, because Earthlings like Lois from afar can see that and say, well, that kind of looks like an S. Let's call him Superman, right. And he can do all these fancy things. So let's call him Superman. But for Clark, it's the Kryptonian symbol of his family.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I like it. It's less. It's less. Well, how convenient that look. Your family is the only one that wears letters from the English alphabet on their chest, that then could feed into your superhero name. So
Mm-hmm.
so that, and again, taking nothing away from the symbol, because had they gone with the traditional symbol, I would have been just as happy.
Right.
That's just another reason why I think it works for this film. Anything you want to add about the symbol specifically, the color palette? Anything that we haven't talked about that you want to mention?
No, just other than that, I'm excited to see it in full. Obviously, like we haven't gotten a full look of what Coin Sweat looks like in the actual look. But yeah, now the fun part is speculating the color scheme of it now. Like, is it going to be a dark blue? Is it a light blue? Is it, is it a medium?
We don't know. We
Like
don't
that.
know
Now
because,
this is the fun part.
Yeah, because of the lighting.
Trunks, no trunks.
We don't know because of the lighting of
Right.
It's an iPhone pic, right? So it hasn't been.
Yeah.
It hasn't been put through all the studio filters and
Mm-hmm.
whatever our first official look will be, which I hope is not spy camera. Like, I hope they have the good sense to snap a pic before they take it outside and release it.
Yeah.
It hasn't been put through all the filters, so we don't know the exact, like how bright is the red, how bright is the blue, how dark is the blue, how dark is the red. I could say, just from that small image that we got, it's bright enough that you can tell what it is. Like, you know what I mean? It's not maroon like the Superman Returns S, which is nice. And again, I can't even fault the Man of Steel suit for being dark, because if you looked at it when it was filmed, like I remember getting shots of them filming or video of them filming, and it looked really bright. Like the S was bright, and then it was put through what I call the poo poo filter, and then it was muted, and it is what it is. But so we don't know, but it's right now it's bright and like if that was the if that ends up being the red and blue, I'm okay with it. Like if that's the exact color scheme based on what we saw, then I'm fine with it. Will there be trunks? Won't there be trunks?
Yeah, I was saying, unfortunately, that's not a debate. That's really of.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess there's trunks. Just a guess.
Yeah.
If there is, I'll be happy. If there isn't, it's not gonna make or break the movie.
I think it's 50-50. I'll say that because
Well,
I really don't know. Like, and I don't want to assume because I think it can go one way or the other. To be honest, because I'm like you, I don't really have a preference one way or the other. I just want a good looking suit, which this is a great start. So if it's any indicator,
we're off to a good start.
I'm sure the rest of it's gonna look spectacular. Do you expect to see the full reveal of the suit before or at Comic-Con? What do you think? Like, do you think they can hold it that
I just saw a tweet that James Gunn said that he's going to be filming during Comic-Con. So, is he going to be there? I mean, now hypothetically, he could send out a video from the set.
Sure.
So him saying I'll be filming doesn't necessarily preclude him from going, but if they're going to be out on the streets in Atlanta in the middle of March, and that suit is going to be present, I think we get it before the end of this month. To be honest with you, I could be wrong. That could be
that does seem like a long time to hold it. Yeah, I would definitely say before. I'll say if it doesn't come out by Easter, at least here in the States or whatever. Definitely by April, I would say for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we're going into June and July without seeing this the full suit.
Maybe done filming by that point.
I just can't see them holding off that long because there's going to be, again, if they're out on the street, there's going to be a spy pick, and is that the way you want it to be revealed?
Yeah, you don't want it to be like the Batman thing where he was on the motorcycle and then the stuntman fell off of it. Yeah,
which was the overreaction was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because what we should be able to take away as superhero film fans by now is that when you see it in filming, it's not going to look as polished or as good as it ultimately ends up looking in a film because there's the practical suits for stunts, which that one was in the Batman's case. There's the hero suit, which is spotless and doesn't get scruffed up, and they use for promotional stills and all that jazz.
Right.
So, but do we really need to go through that again? I would say no, and I would hope James Gunn agrees and says this before we take this thing outside. Let's put David in front of the screen and take a couple of shots. So, but I don't think it goes. I don't think it goes as long as Comic-Con. I think that's too far away. And again, the other thing is that has me encouraged that I think we should mention because it involves James Gunn is that David Zaslav said within the next few months we will be getting a comprehensive reveal of the plans for the next 10 years from James Gunn and Peter Safran for the DCU. And somebody asked James Gunn, well, is that going to be at Comic-Con or via a video like the last, like the first feed or first chapter slate? And James Gunn replied, "Are those our only two options? Question mark." So what that means, I have no idea.
Oh, James.
It could be a series of posts on threads.
Yeah.
It could be a big reveal in one of the trades where they
Yeah.
they list with a bunch of quotes and whatever.
Yeah.
Could be another video. Could be at Comic-Con via a video presentation. It could be maybe they orchestrate a mini fandom,
Yeah.
to do that. Who knows? But we're going to have some info in the next few months regarding what we still don't know about regarding the DCU slate and future. So that's also intriguing. So a lot of things to look forward to. And who knows? Maybe at the end of the month when we record our next Superman episode, we might have more news.
Wow, boy.
Wouldn't shock me. Maybe even the full costume to analyze for half an episode. And I think we said for our next Superman episode, just so that our audience can sort of read along if they want. I think we said we're doing Birthright, correct?
Yes, Birthright. Yeah.
So if you want to be prepared for that episode and want to read for either the first time or reread Birthright, that's your cue, because that's what we'll be covering next. So if you want to, follow along in terms of the literal sense, that's what we're doing. But between now and then, that'll wrap up this show, and you'll have to track us down on social media to talk with us about Superman or any other, nerd IP that Nick and I cover. But Nick, where can they find you on social media?
Oh yeah, you guys can follow me on social media on Twitter and Letterboxd at Nick Zemnick, and of course you guys can most notably hear me on the Vigilante 1909, where of course that episode where we talked about the Superman logo and its unveiling, as well as Dune Part 2's box office, and we kind of previewed the Oscars as of this recording, so that would have already happened. So go and check that episode out. In the feed, and Adam, as you can see, for a little Superman trivia for our listeners here, today was Superman Blue. I'm sure, or Electric Blue, excuse me.
Yes.
I'm sure you might have caught that, but just for a little Superman trivia to keep a little fun here.
I like that.
Kind of throw that out there.
I like that shirt.
And of course, on my Twitter, Adam, you will be notably hearing me say constantly that Rachel Brosnahan is going to be one of the greatest DC castings that we've ever had.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. Yeah, I have no doubt about that.
That is all.
And if you want to follow me and talk about Superman, Batman, or any other character that I love and podcast about, you can at Adam_LeafSfan on Twitter. We also have the Facebook group, which you can click the link in the description below. I'll add you, and we can continue the conversation there. But until next time, remember that Superman is forever. From the first time a new movie, Emblem, is revealed to the last. So long, everybody.